everybody. When was the last time you made money from your marketing? I mean, really got a return on your investment from your marketing. We always hear these long drawn out stories that it takes time and I've got to work on my data. But today, my guest, Ted Lau, is going to talk to us about how to really, truly make money from marketing on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? If you're like most of us business owners, increasing your profitability is always on your mind. And you're probably looking for ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that shares ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia Riner, known as the Profit Booster, and I'm a business growth strategist. I've been helping tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guides your growth, and plans for a future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale-ready business creates a win-win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall when it's time to let go. And I want to share strategies that I've learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something special to share with you, my podcast audience. If you ever thought of supercharging your business and you wanted to avoid profit plateaus or operational headaches, how about growth roadblocks? Well, I've got a brand new Profit Booster playbook just for you. You'll uncover 3 essential strategies and the quick way to take action on them. Now, this is not just a single-page report. It's filled with impactful strategies, actionable steps, and expert guidance to elevate your profits. Go download this playbook for free at boostingprofit.com. All right, my guest today is Ted Lau. He's the owner of and CEO of Ballistic Arts. Founded in 2002, Ballistic Arts is a high-touch, award-winning lead generation digital marketing agency that focuses on online lead generation for established B2B professional service firms, as well as distribution and manufacturers who are frustrated they're not getting enough new business from their marketing efforts. Ballistic Arts has a full division in lead generation, digital marketing, graphic design, video production, and web development. Their client roster includes Century 21, Tim Hortons, yay Tim, KPMG, C-SPAN, Raymond James, B2 Gold, and that's just a few. By marrying the compelling creative content with precise lead conversion data, Ballistic Arts has successfully increased clients' leads by up to 650%, while beating the industry standard ad buys by 30 to 80%. Tim, that's a pretty, or Ted, sorry, that's a pretty, I'm thinking Tim Horton, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
a pretty crazy claim, 650%, but I'm dying to find out how. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Marcia. Well, I'm happy to be here. And yes, would love to dive into how we're going to be able to share with your audience how we get those numbers for our clients.
Wow. Well, you know what? In the little brief introduction, I know that you have probably one of the hardest jobs out there as a marketing agency, because the consumer who hires you have these like grandiose dreams of, I'm going to have more business than I know what to do with, and leads are going to come rushing through the door. And then they get with other marketing agencies and that falls flat, like miserably flat, 6 months and a lot of money down the drain. And they're like, well, where are my leads? Right. And so I think that having a real true marketing agency that can produce leads is gold. So I'm happy to have you on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy to chat more about it and dive into how we can help. And you know what? I think the first thing I jump in here is that, yeah, a lot of companies do have this idea, this thought that, hey, if I hire a marketing company, that I'm going to make a ton of business. However, a lot of the clients that we work with are mostly in the B2B space, mostly distributors, manufacturers who are, 3rd generation business that are kind of jaded, quite frankly, with digital marketing. So by the time they come to us, I get more, I don't get the, oh, you're going to make us a ton of money. It's kind of like, oh, you're going to waste us a ton of money because you people, you dirty digital marketers have caused all this commotion of marketing, but we're not making any money. So they're typically very jaded by the time they come to us, and we have had a lot of fun turning that frown upside down. And yeah, we can chat more about that today.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, let's get into it. So you mentioned B2B businesses. Is there a difference between businesses that go after consumers versus businesses that go after businesses?
Yeah, 100%. I think there's I guess from a marketing standpoint, there is in that, we're not marketing Lululemon or the LA Rams, or I guess you're in Vegas. So the Vegas Raiders, right? Las
The
Vegas
Oakland
Raiders,
Raiders.
right? They're not Oakland anymore. They're in Vegas. And so that's a very different animal. Like that's a lot of brand awareness, making sure that folks know about the brand and the logo looks good and it says, and that's not to say that you don't have that for B2B, but a lot of B2B companies are folks that are used to going to trade shows. They're part of the supply chain. They're shaking hands, kissing babies, as it were. And brand is nice, but it's really how do I say, a means to an end for them to generate revenue. And it's kind
An
of
afterthought.
yeah, it's an afterthought. It's seen as a necessary evil. And because they're like, well, I'm a business speaking to another business. I don't have to do all the bells and whistles and whatnot to bring in the business. However, that's actually really good for marketers that are in the B2B space that actually want to, provide change, affect change, because the bar is kind of low on the B2B side. Because a lot of folks just think, oh, I need a website, or maybe I need a product video. And then that's kind of as far as they go, not realizing that if you actually make a full-fledged plan to drive revenue, you can actually do it. And it's actually relatively easy.
And you're unusual in that space because everybody else just kind of has the basic stuff and you're going all out, right?
That's right. That's right. And a lot of the times when we have clients come to us, yeah, they don't normally know or realize that, hey, I can actually make money from my marketing. It's usually the sales director needs a trade show pamphlet because we're going to a trade show, design that. And so when they first come to us, it's usually for a request for a particular item. It's a good that they need delivered. And when we go, well, the first question we always ask is, well, how much money do you think you're going to make with that thing that you're requesting? And they go, I don't know. And they kind of you stop them in the tracks because they just don't understand that that's actually a possibility. It's not like they don't want to. They just are so inundated by the fact that marketing doesn't work. It's a necessary evil that when we ask that question, it's very refreshing. And then when you start having that conversation about what's your business goal, where's your vision, how far into the future do you want to hit this? And if we're able to create that sense of, oh, I can actually do this, then we can start creating a plan and make it go into action. And we actually, think like a salesperson or a business person and think like, how much revenue do you need to make? Reverse engineer that to figure out what the close rate is. And then we figure out what the qualified lead number is. And then everything that we do in the plan is to work towards hitting that number.
Singing my song here. I love somebody that can reverse engineer things because, I've always kind of thought that a lot of business owners, particularly the B2B folks, they just throw spaghetti on the wall and hope it sticks, right? They're just thinking, oh, well, if I have this really fancy website that doesn't do anything but act as a glorified business card, or they have this, like you said, this big trade show, but they don't make any money off of it. It's terrible.
Well, it's very disappointing and deflating. You're a business owner, you're wanting to put your best foot out there, but then you're not really sure what you're doing, how you're going to do it. A big frustration that a lot of our clients get is the fact that they don't get guidance on how to generate new leads, how to get that ROI. And so, yeah, great that we're here talking about profit because that's really the name of the game when it comes to our kind of marketing. Yes, we reverse engineer. And a lot of the time that spaghetti on the wall that you talk about, that shotgun approach is what a lot of marketers will do. It's kind of like, this is what I know. We need a new, and then insert, we need logo, maybe a website, maybe a brochure, and they just kind of spit out what they know. But to your point, when you just said data, the data will actually tell us what we need to do, how we need to do it. We do a big competitive analysis of who's who out there that's competing. And then we kind of find where the low hanging fruit is because I don't care. I have lots of clients that have very large Fortune 500 type competitors. But I don't care how big a competitor is because I know that marketing budgets are always finite. So that means there's always going to be some kind of gap in their marketing, a weakness per se. They're not spending their money in a particular sector. And then we go and look, okay, well, that's your low hanging fruit. And we're going to go double down on that. And it makes it a lot easier. And everything that we're doing is not fluff driven. It is actually like, how can we actually drive revenue? And so long as we can drive revenue and prove the case, I mean, if it was you, like, hey, if I put in $1 and I get $5 back, you're probably going to keep putting in that dollar, right? That's the idea.
Of course I will. I love it. So let's, if you don't mind, let's talk about some of those ideas that have been working in the ever-changing marketing space today. Yeah. If we're coming in and we're saying, okay, I want to put $1 in, and that phrase means that you're buying ads, right?
Well, you're actually not just buying ads. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can do. But I guess your question is, what is something and how do we share something here that your audience can take?
Before we go forward, though, because I asked a double-ended question that I'm horribly with, as an interviewer, I double in the questions too often. But, when we talk about $1 in and $5 back, that's usually an advertising spend, correct? It's not in the production and in the collateral it's in the production and everything else, right?
For us, when I'm saying for every dollar you put in, it's, production, ad spend, strategy, the whole thing. Okay. Right. And because at the end of the day, it's part of your cost of goods sold, right? It is part of it. It's part. Thank you. And you know what? A lot of marketers actually don't talk about that. Financial statement.
They only talk about the ad spend as the dollar, right? So it took you $10 before you could spend that $1.
Exactly. So no, it's when I'm saying that dollar includes everything, all in, right? Because so how I got into this part, I've had this company for 22 years. I started in the room above my parents' garage and kind of grew it from there. And we were a creative agency. We did video production, branding, websites, the same traditional creative agency stuff where I didn't, quite frankly, ask, how much money do you want to make from this? I didn't dare because I knew how costly our fees were, our services were. And then when I started was over beer with a couple of clients, I was asking, hey, I'm trying to grow a new division. What do you think I should do? And they're like, I want you to do social media marketing. And I'm like, I hate social media. Why? Why would you want me to do that? And they're like, well, it's kind of a black hole for us. We don't know. Like we keep putting thousands of dollars a month into this and we get a bunch of likes and stuff. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, well, I can't eat likes. Like if I was a small business and I'm putting in thousands of dollars a month, I darn well better see a return. And so over beer, I blurted out, not thinking how I was going to do this. Well, I'm not, that's kind of silly. Like, what if I got you leads? What do you mean? Like people picking up the phone and wanting to pay you money to hire you. And I had this one client who's still with me today said, Ted, if you do that, I'll never leave you. And that's kind of how it spurred on because I know how much my cost inputs are. And as any business person, I need these expenses and then I got to then make a margin. And so long as I can factor all of our marketing services and ad spend in and know what the revenue return our clients need, then it just becomes an input cost. It just becomes a piece of machinery that I need to do to bring in that's going to, print money, as it were. And that's the idea. Print customers. And that's basically what's happened. And it's turning the thought onto its head. It is a little bit scarier as marketers because you got to put your feet to the fire. Marketers mostly, oh, you're welcome. Mostly just want to make things look pretty. And we can make things look pretty, but the pretty things have to also provide a return. They have to do something, or else then you're just spending money for spending money's sake. And that it just doesn't work, especially in today's challenging economy. If you don't have a plan to actually make your marketing help you make money, then what are you doing it for?
Because you have to. You have to. If you're not marketing, I believe the marketing budget is just as important as the employee budget, right? That you have in there because you've got to bring customers in so you can have your employees, take care of the customers.
Mhm.
So it should be something that is just as highly important. But I think that we get into this, like I said in the beginning, we get into this hole with other marketers, we'll call them, that just promise something, but there's nothing at the end that really truly comes out, right? 6 months, a year down the way, you're like, oh, we're finally starting to get something. And then if I'm not making money off it, then it's my problem because I didn't know how to close a deal.
Yeah, and so that's another thing is that we do sometimes have a conversation with our clients because it's true. A lot of our clients, if you ever read the book, The E-Myth, the classic business book, right? A lot of business folks start their business because they were a technician. They
Right.
really wanted to do that thing. The baker, I think Susan was in the book, and she was the baker, and she's good at baking, but she wasn't really a manager, didn't have the entrepreneurial mind yet, and so we as marketers also need to have communication with them going, okay, well, I've gotten you, we've actually had like actually that one client that said, Ted, I'll never leave you. I remember we actually got them a bunch of leads. And I was looking at our reports and yeah, because I don't do the day-to-day. I have a team. So I'm just looking at the reports. I'm like, this is great. So I called the client, like, hey, how are you feeling? Because I thought like, oh, things are gonna be good. Like he's gonna be super happy because we're getting all this business for them. And he's like, I haven't gotten any business out of it. What I'm looking at a dozen qualified leads here. What are you talking about? And he said, well, they haven't answered my emails. I'm like, did you pick up the phone? What? I have to what? You have to pick up the phone and call them. Oh, and then we've had to kind of educate our clients along as well. And I know that sounds basic, but a lot of clients just think, hey, if I'm responding and they don't respond, then that's it. No, like you actually have to, you're a services, this is particular client, a services business. And with B2B companies, typically it's less transactional, it's more relationship based.
Mm.
So we have to educate them on the relationship. And this is why it's actually been very good on the B2B side, because a lot of our marketing is content driven. It is content marketing where we are positioning our clients' products or our clients' services as industry leaders and experts and why their product or their service is going to benefit their end customer. And by educating them and providing that value, kind of like the Gary Vaynerchuk book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, that it's an ancient book at this point, but that showing value is extremely important. And having that ability to continue on that allows our clients to be seen as trusted advisors. And then therefore they just, again, the recipe works. And we've been very happy about that.
I love it. And it's, you hit on something that I think business owners forget. They go off chasing shiny objects, squirrels, fall down rabbit holes, all the terminology of people, business owners getting lost. It's because they're forgetting about those foundational things and chasing those sexy, sparkly stuff like we'll call it AI now, right? All the AI stuff is very exciting and fun to play with, but they're forgetting the foundational pieces like pick up the phone
Yeah.
and make a relationship with
Make a
this
relationship.
person and provide them value. And they'll go, oh, I see now why I need this because it's going to do that, so that. And I think that's where I build my business on is the foundations. And I'm so glad to hear that you're going to the back to the foundations to set up a successful opportunity for your customers to be able to bring in the leads that they're looking for and even help in getting them to pick up the phone and make the phone
Yeah.
call.
I mean, we had another client out of LA. I'm not going to say who, but they were another services company, and they're a high end service. And they would say internally to their team, "Oh, we only want this type of client." But because of that culture that they've imbued into their team, when they were complaining they weren't getting business, and we're like, "No, you're getting all these phone calls." But with advertising, sometimes you can actually, I don't know if you know this, with Google local services ads, the phone calls can be recorded. They're recorded. It's part of the Google privacy policy. Anyway, you can hear them. So we're hearing some of the phone calls and hearing the receptionist going, "Yeah, no, you can't afford us." Whoa, what? Like, oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh, at the
Like,
front door.
oh, at the it's a phone call because you can hear it, and we're like, what how? So then we have to pass it on to the client. The client goes, "Oh my goodness!" Da, da, da. So there's a bit of education on that aspect as well, but it's because we dig a little bit deeper, right? as you mentioned before, there's a lot of marketers that just, hey, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that and da, da, da. It's whatever they have a specialty in. It's kind of like if I'm an SEO expert, if any kind of business problem, SEO. And so that's my, oh, well, I build videos. I make videos. Okay, so TikTok videos. Okay, so any business problem, TikTok video will solve it because that's what they do. But at Ballistic, we're holistic. We look at everything. And again, it's we meet our clients where they're at, and then we try to figure out how we're going to get them to their goal, but not giving them a template boilerplate of like the things that with service that we do. It's how are we going to get there? And I think that is a refreshing approach that I would invite a lot of marketers to, because if they can do that and focus on how do we actually drive revenue, then once those activities start happening, you build this trust with the client. We're able to go, we're going to do this, and we actually have targets that we have to hit. And if we hit it, then the client's going to go, okay, I'm going to listen to Ballistic now, because at first they don't know us from Adam. There's a ton of marketing agencies out there. But now that we've built that trust, now we can say, okay, let me listen on some of those calls. Oh, by the way, they said that, your clients don't deserve to work with you. Like, now they're going to hear you. But at first, they're not going to hear you. You got to build that trust. And by the best way of doing that is by providing results.
Yes, love it. Okay. Thank you for that explanation. That was fantastic. It really separates the success of what marketing really truly can provide a company when done correctly, versus what's out there in many spaces in the marketing space. So let's talk a little bit about some of those success ideas that come out when you work with a company. So if you took that company from LA, or you took that company, one of the bigger companies, what were some of the things that worked?
Well, I think it's all about initially the plan, right? Plan your work your plan is a saying
Profit
that
with
I've
a
heard.
plan. That's the name of the
Right?
podcast.
Profit with a plan. That's that is literally what you have to do, is that we always tell our clients. Now, we don't ask how much profit you want to make, because that's a little bit maybe too confidential for our clients, but we'll actually ask them revenue wise. I'll say, client, how much money you need to make for this endeavor to be profitable. How much is that? And then we find out, okay, well, it's X number of dollars. And just for math's sake for this conversation, I'll say, let's say the client wants to make another $1.2 million next year. And so if I divide it over 12, then that's $100,000 a month that they need to make. And if their average order size, and most of our clients, the average order size are at least in the 5-figure, but for this conversation, let's say it's, I don't know, $20,000. So that's 5 new deals. You need 5 new deals to get $100,000 a month to get a 1.2 million. Okay. So that's 5 new deals. What's your close rate? So the close rate is obviously like, if for every person that walks through the door, what's the percentage of them actually closing and turning into a business? I don't know. Let's say it's 30%. But now, okay, well, if it's 30% regular, I'm going to make it more conservative. I'll make it 20%. So if it's so you need 10 phone calls. You need 5 new deals. If you need 5 new deals times 20 is 25%, right? Because you got to do the 20. Okay. So it's 25 phone calls. I need to get you qualified 25 phone calls. And if you can do that, are we good? And that's basically it, because they know their business so well, because they usually are established folks, and they just need the phone calls. And if we can do that, that's the first thing. The very first thing is knowing what the goalpost is.
Outcome has to be, right?
The outcome has to be, exactly. So once we know that, then we'll go into various different things. So understanding, again, competition, where are they at? How are they talking to the market? What's their social presence, their SEO, all that kind of stuff. And then
I promise you, listeners, there is competition out there. You're not the only one doing your own thing.
You are never the only one doing your own thing, ever. But that's okay, right? And I am not concerned about if you're a larger client and you have all these like more small competitors that are kind of biting at your heels. I'm not concerned about that. And I'm certainly not concerned if you're a smaller player with a big player in the mix, because like I said earlier in the call, that all budget is finite. All marketing budget is finite. So there's always going to be a weakness. And so the competitor analysis is finding the weakness. Then we go into creating a persona. Who are you talking to? Here's another tip: is talking to different personas, great. But you really have 1, 2, 3 top type personas that you talk to on a daily basis, figuring out who those folks are and finding out what they like, what they love to do, what their hobbies are. And people go, well, I'm a B2B company. How does like them liking I don't know,
Cat video.
yeah, right? Like, or yeah, or maybe they like the Mets or something like that. Why? Like, how is that going to help? It's because when people are, not working, they're still thinking about their work. So like I remember, so I became a vegan like 3 years, vegan diet. Okay. I had a vegan diet. So 3 years ago, I started doing that. And I'm online checking. I do all the cooking at home. I'm checking like how to make vegan grab and go breakfast for the next morning. Right. I'm going through. And then all of a sudden, an ad for a new CRM system comes up. And we were actually looking for a CRM that month. And because the targeting was so good, it spoke to me and we actually shortlisted them to start working with us as a CRM company. And that's the whole thing, is like understanding who you're targeting, then finding out what key messages you want to say and try to actually put in. I know in sales, you're not supposed to say industry jargon words. In marketing, it actually works. And the reason why is because if I am putting an ad to you, okay, I'm going to target a whole subset section of people that may or may not actually be this buyer that I want, right? There may be, I'm targeting, there's going to be 10,000 people that I target. But if I say these industry terms and you have never heard of those industry terms, you're going to flip right through the advertising. And by flipping through the advertising and not actually engaging with it, then the impression rates, sure, it goes down, but the ad relevancy score goes up because only people that understand the industry jargon will click on that ad. And so therefore your ad relevancy score is higher, and there that means your cost per click is going to be lower. And that is
But
going to be a really good secret on how to target these people.
I love that. But so many customers or businesses don't want to niche. They want to be, they're afraid that if they use that, then what about those people that got the ad that click through? They're gone. I wanted to capture them too.
Well, how do I say this? They weren't your client to begin with. You know what I mean? Like it's at the end of the day, you're if you're everything to everybody, you're nobody to any.
Yes.
You have to be able to really hone down on what your niche is. Sure, you might have peripheral business elsewhere, but if you can specialize and know, and that's actually the key to our success. Any of our clients come to us, they're usually established, they know what they're doing in terms of their business and profit, and they're already a going concern. They've been around for decades, all good. They just kind of hit a ceiling. It's But if they have a niche, specifically a niche that is going to speak to those people, they'll win. Like I guarantee, like anyone coming to me that's like been established as a company that actually has a niche and knows what they're doing is already profitable, we will make them win for sure. Like that has happened time and time again. It's
Great.
because of the niche piece though, because that way then I can target that specific message to them, have my clients be seen as a thought leader in that space. They win all day long. I have a client who is a data research company, can't say where, but they compete with like large like Ipsos Reid type companies. They're specifically targeting data research companies. They're targeting directors of research in large conglomerates like Amazon and Nintendo and stuff like that. Yet we were able to target, because of the fact that they're so niche. We can say this is the message that only works for these people. I mean, we keep hitting above their lead targets every month.
I think that is the golden nugget of the entire show, is that you have to be able to talk to your ideal audience. You said if you had one or two or possibly three ideal people that you're talking to, but marketing is to stop people in their tracks and redirect them to look at your stuff, right? It's not to close the deal. That's what the telephone call is for. But it's to get them to stop in their tracks enough times for them to recognize you and consume your information. And if you're talking to everybody out there about everything and it's raining today and yesterday was sunny and tomorrow's going to be windy, they're going to go, oh, okay, that's the weather. Moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole thing about the content that you talked about, right? Getting them to consume your content. That's what you said. That is the number one thing you want them to do, because it's going to take 8 to 10 touches before most of these folks know you exist, right?
Man.
I think we get bombarded. I was doing a talk at the other day, and I had to do some research, and we get bombarded by 4,000 to 10,000 ads a day now. since like the days of TikTok and Reels and stuff like that, that is happening all day long. So 4 to 10,000 messages a day, how are you going to get through with a limited budget? So you got to target really well, make sure that, yeah, the 8 to 10 touches just for them to be aware of you. And then when they come to you, they're not going to instantly buy from you. Those days are gone. People are shopping and thinking, maybe their buying cycle is a little bit later. They're not ready. They don't have the budget until 6 months from now when the cycle resets, whatever that is. But if we have good content that they come back to and they're like, oh, this company actually knows their stuff. Not just showing how many awards we won or what our product is, but like, how did this apply to a particular niche personality's pain points? If I can do that, where are they losing sleep? And this is how we solve the losing sleep thing that you have. So if I can do that over and over and over and over again, eventually they're going to pick up the phone and give you a call. And it's less sophisticated typically with the B2B. It's literally just pick up the phone and then you start the relationship. It is not this big sophisticated cycle that, you know, certain companies have. Most manufacturing distributing companies, it's picking up a phone, figuring out what the specs are
and doing it, firing away. No, I love that. And that's so important. And that brings you back down to the old foundational marketing pieces. What problem does your ideal customer have now? And can you prove that you can solve it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, it can be very simple approach, but you can't solve everybody's problem, right? You know, it's always that dentist that says, yeah, if you have teeth, you're my ideal client. Wrong.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
You
So
have to be able to target, right? That targeting makes you the professor, as it were, of that particular space. Then you create a sandbox where you are the king and queen, the monarch of that
sandbox.
That
Now you can
sandbox.
have 2 sandboxes once you nail the first sandbox, and you can
That's
build
right.
a second sandbox, or you can
That's
build a town and a county and a state,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Your own country. You can build all of that, but it starts with the first sandbox.
Mm-hmm. And you got to prove the case. That's another thing with the data. Why actually we're okay with targeting 2 or 3 personas at first is because certain personas will gravitate quicker to particular content. And we're going to double down on that. Once we start, like you said, mastering, it's kind of like the circus act where they're spinning plates or whatever. Once you spin one and you got that handled, then you can spin a second one. But until you got the one, do not try to be a plate spinner of 10 things, right? You got to do the one first and then start from there and then start slow. How do you eat an elephant? Or I guess because I'm plant-based, how do you eat fruit? One bite at a time, right? That's the same thing.
No, this is fantastic, Ted. You've given us so many ideas to really chew on to say, first of all, marketing is as essential as your employees, right? So you've got to have marketing, but you want it to produce, right? I ask my clients to make sure that their employees are producing an ROI, right? They're earning their pay. Why aren't we asking our marketing to produce an ROI and earn its keep instead of just throwing that spaghetti on the wall? So I think this is the most this is a fantastic way to really do it, by taking that step back and looking at the basis and niching and doing the great marketing ideas and directions. This has really been good. So Ted, we can talk forever. I know.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
Maybe 5 or 6 more of these conversations very easily. And listeners, I know you're going to have questions. So Ted, where can people find you?
Well, there's lots of different ways. If for those of you kind of new to marketing and business, I have a content channel just for you. It's on YouTube called Ted. If you can find it at Ted Lau, so YouTube and just type in Ted Lau. And I got a bunch of really quick hit videos about starting a business, marketing, personas, all that kind of stuff. And if you're actually ready and wanting to ask us a bit more about in-depth things about your marketing plans and whatnot, come to my website, ballisticarts.com. You can find me at ted@ballisticarts.com or Indeed, and you can check us out. We have a lot of blog content as well. And so, yeah, we'd love to have any of your folks, they're more than welcome to pick up the phone or send me an email or whatnot.
Love it. Love the idea of, Ted Lau on YouTube. That's, keep it as easy and simple as you can, right? I think it's very creative. So
No,
good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. And my goodness, none of us do it alone. We need help. We need help from the experts that can help us bring in more leads so that we can serve more people and take care of our family, take care of our communities and our employees, and just do so much more. And marketing drives business.
100%. 100%.
So jump on the bandwagon. All right. Well, thanks for listening today. I hope you found a couple ideas to put into your business that will help you be more profitable. And I know that taking Ted's ideas on doing the foundational work and really coming in and going after the right audience the right way will help you really double or triple or quadruple or 10 times your money, the investment that you put in. So go check out Ted's stuff. As I mentioned before, if you want to supercharge your business, go download my new Profit Booster Playbook packed with 3 profit strategies and the actionable steps that you can make to make this your most profitable year ever. Go grab it for free at boostingprofit.com. And Ted and I would love to hear your questions, feedback. Throw an idea that worked and throw an idea that didn't work out in the comments, and Ted and I will respond to it and give you some feedback on it. And while you're at it, subscribe. You don't want to miss any future shows. So you can catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. And we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Ted. This was great.
Thanks, Marcia. Thanks, everybody, for having me. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.